Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something absolutely incredible. We are traveling back over 2 millennia to the vibrant, wildly culturally thriving world of ancient Tamil Lakam. We're going to explore a breathtaking linguistic and cultural artifact that has quite literally shaped the cultural metabolism of South Asia. As an expert in Sangam Tamil literature, I'm so thrilled to guide you through this. We're going to decode a very specific, beautiful passage from one of the greatest texts ever written, analyzing its history, its poetics, and its really profound social implications. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the epic masterpiece itself, then translate the ancient verse, do a line-by-line analysis, explore the symbolism of the ornaments, look at gender and culture, and finally, wrap it all up with an expert conclusion. Section 1. The epic masterpiece. Let's set the stage by looking at the broad historical landscape of ancient South India. Our focus today is the Silapadikaram, which translates to the tale of an anklet. This was ascribed to the poet, prince, and Jain monk Ilongo Adigal. And guys, this is a massive 5,730-line classical Tamil epic. It's written almost entirely in the classical Akaval meter, and it is just an astonishing synthesis of poetry, music, and drama. Make no mistake, this text is a monumental pillar of Tamil cultural identity. It's totally comparable in civilizational scale to the Homeric Iliad. It tells the deeply moving story of Kannaki and Kovalan and traverses the ancient Chera, Chola, and Pandya dynasties. We're talking about a world so rich in maritime trade that Roman emperors actually used to complain about losing all their gold to it. Now, as scholars, we do have to acknowledge the lively, ongoing debate over the epic's exact dating. Some textual evidence places it firmly within the 2nd century AD, Sangam era, pointing to mentions of historical kings like Charan Singatuvan and its alignment with other really ancient works. But on the other hand, some academics argue it belongs to a slightly later post-Sangam period, based on certain linguistic shifts and its highly evolved structure of dance and musical theory. But honestly, regardless of where you fall in that debate, the historical reality it reflects is archaeologically indisputable. It was a time of intense maritime trade, incredibly rich urban centers like Puhar and Madurai, and deep cultural cross-pollination. Section 2, Translating the Ancient Verse. Okay, let's transition from that macro history down to the micro poetry and zoom in on the core artifact we're solving today. We are looking at Canto 2, known as the Manayaram Patutakatai, which translates to the setting up of home. The dramatic context here is deeply, deeply intimate. Kovalan, who is an ecstatic lover and wealthy merchant, is passionately admiring his chaste wife, Kannaki. The verse begins, Naru malark kotai ninnalam paratanar maru il mangala aniye onriyam. Just listen to the rhythm of that poetic meter. He's addressing her as, O lady with charming tresses fragrant with flowers, in this very intimate setting, kicking off an 11-line meditation on her natural beauty. Now, what's really interesting here is looking at the exact academic translation from our sources. This grounds our whole analysis purely in textual evidence. Kovalan is basically gazing at Kannaki, who is completely naturally beautiful, and he starts to question why she has been dressed up so elaborately by her maids. He takes a sort of inventory of everything she's wearing, contrasting it with what she actually needs. He asks her directly, of what use to you are dressing maids and ornaments other than your flawless tali? And right there, that introduces the central tension of not just this verse, but arguably the entire epic. Kannaki's unadorned inherent purity. You see, the tali, or Mangala-ani, is the sacred marital thread. Kovalan is declaring that her natural virtue, symbolized solely by that tali, needs absolutely no enhancement. Everything else is just a distraction. He then continues with this incredible sensory language. He questions why she wears common frankincense, sandal paste figures painted on her breasts, which are known as thoyil, and heavy single pearl strings, or oru kashmutham. You can practically smell the musk and frankincense here, and you can almost feel the physical weight of those seaborne pearls. Kovalan portrays these jewels not as blessings at all, but as oppressive burdens on her delicate form, pointing out that they're causing drops of perspiration on her moon-like face and bringing pain to her slender waist. Section 3, Line-by-line literary analysis. Let's shift gears a bit and really unpack the vocabulary and imagery of this text. So, to truly understand this verse, you have to understand a concept called akam. In classical Tamil Sangam literature, poetry is strictly divided into two categories, Akkam and Puram. Puram deals with the exterior. Think war, kings, and public life. Akkam, on the other hand, is the interior landscape. It's all about love, domesticity, and personal emotions. Kovalin's speech fits perfectly into these ancient interior conventions of romantic and domestic bliss. He is alone with his wife, just reveling in the interior joy of their union, completely separated from the bustling, mercantile city of Buhar that's sitting right outside their window.
As scholars, we always have to distinguish between evidence and interpretation. The literal evidence in these lines gives us a list of high-value trade goods, right? Seaborne pearls, musk, sandalwood, and frankincense. And we know from archaeological records that Puhar was a massive trading hub for exactly these items. But the poetic interpretation is entirely different. Kovalin isn't just giving an inventory of his wealth, he's using these trade goods as a foil. He's arguing that Kannaki's natural perfection makes all these incredibly expensive worldly goods completely redundant.
Section 4. Symbolism of ancient ornaments. Let's expand our focus and see what these specific words tell us about ancient Tamil society at large. And this brilliantly illustrates a really powerful contrast in the story. Kannaki's beauty is defined by her flawless tali, symbolizing chaste simplicity. But later on in the epic, we meet Madhavi, the brilliant courtesan that Kovalin actually leaves Kannaki for. And Madhavi is described wearing a girdle made of 32 strands of pearls, emeralds, and rubies. The epic uses jewelry to completely define character. Kannaki is unadorned purity, while Madhavi represents the intoxicating, exhaustively jeweled world of public allure. Just look at the sensory poetics Kovalin employs here. Malar for flowers, akil for frankincense, santu for sandal paste, mutu for pearls, and kasturi for musk. These were literally the ultimate luxury goods of the ancient Tamil world, deeply tied to physical attraction and high status. Yet, in this specific verse, Kovalin just dismisses them. When he says her natural beauty makes these additions a folly, he is using clever literary devices to elevate her inherent virtue way, way above manufactured worldly wealth.
Section 5. Gender, chastity, and culture. So how do these poetic details connect to the broader, really intense gender dynamics of this era?
Well, the crucial point is understanding what the tali truly represents in this cultural universe. In the ancient Tamil marriage rites that are described in the text, couples would walk around a holy fire, and the bride was likened to the fiercely loyal star Arundhati. The tali, that single flawless ornament Kovalin is praising, isn't just a piece of jewelry. It represents karpao, which means absolute chastity and unwavering loyalty. In the Sangam age, a woman's karpao was believed to hold immense, almost supernatural spiritual power. And the macro-level consequence of this chastity is exactly where the epic goes next. Because Kannaki was free from blemishes, later in the epic, when Kovalin is unjustly executed, the sheer power of her karpu actually allows her to burn the entire city of Madurai to the ground. It's an unbelievable sequence, and it leads directly to the Pattini cult. Kannaki transforms from a mortal, unadorned wife into a revered demigoddess of justice. The Chera king, Sangatufan, even journeys all the way to the Himalayas just to bring back a stone to carve her idol. That established a legacy that literally lives on to this day in temples all across South India. Section 6. Legacy and Expert Conclusion. All right, let's prepare to wrap up our explainer by looking at the epic's lasting impact. So, why does a 2,000-year-old poem matter to us today? Because it is deeply embedded in the cultural metabolism of South Asia. The Silappatikaram is not merely a tragedy about a broken marriage. It is a fierce manifesto on justice, morality, and the power of the marginalized, a single woman challenging a mighty king. Its unmatched linguistic brilliance, the way it preserves ancient musical and dance grammars, and its vivid depiction of ancient trade networks make it a foundational document of human history. Based on the immense textual, linguistic, and archaeological corroboration we've reviewed today, I'm absolutely assigning a 95% confidence score to this analysis. The evidence for the cultural significance of these ornaments and the societal reverence for karpu is just overwhelmingly clear. But honestly, it leaves us with a really fascinating, provocative question to ponder. In our modern world, a world bursting with infinite luxury and endless adornment, what is our equivalent of the flawless tali? How do we, today, measure the true, unadorned value of a person? Thank you so much for exploring this with me. See you next time.